There's a strange kind of irony in Blade Runner's story. It's about artificial life built, controlled, and discarded by its creators, and the movie itself ended up suffering a similar fate. When Ridley Scott finished Blade Runner in 1982, he thought he'd made something profound, a slow, moody, existential sci-fi about what it means to be human. Warner Bros., however, looked at the same movie and said, "We can't sell this." And they were both right, but for very different reasons. Because Blade Runner isn't just a movie, it also can be a case study in how a studio can bury art and how time can dig it back up again. If you stay with me to the end, I'm going to show you how a film once written off as a cold, confusing mess became one of the most influential works in cinematic history, and how, by pure accident, the real Blade Runner was never meant to be seen at all. Let's go back to 1980. Ridley had just come off Alien, a global hit that made him Hollywood's next great visionary. He wanted his follow-up to be something deeper, not just another monster movie, but a philosophical noir about humanity itself. The problem was Warner Bros. Wanted Star Wars with trench coats. From day one, Blade Runner was a war between art and commerce. The studio didn't understand it, the test audiences hated it, and Ridley Scott refused to simplify. They thought audiences wouldn't get the ambiguity, and it was too dark, too slow, and too weird. And they weren't wrong, at least at first. Test audiences left early. The movie was dark, cryptic, and most of all, quiet. There were no quippy heroes, no explosions every 5 minutes, no clear villain to hate. You gotta remember, this was the 80s, so studios were looking for those type of attributes. So when Blade Runner hit theaters in June 1982, critics called it beautiful but empty. It bombed at the box office, barely scraping $30 million. Meanwhile, E.T. was charming the world. The message that Hollywood got was clear. Heartwarming aliens sell, but bleak existentialism doesn't. And that's when the executives stepped in. The word interference doesn't really capture it. What happened to Blade Runner was surgery with no anesthesia. Warner Bros. Thought the film's ambiguity was killing it. They needed something to hold the audience's hand, to explain what was going on. So they forced Harrison Ford to record a voiceover that literally narrates what the audience can already see. And you could hear how much he hated it. Ford has admitted he read the lines as flatly as possible, hoping they'd never use it, but they did. Then came the ending. Scott had crafted this haunting conclusion. Deckard and Rachel escaping into an uncertain future, the door closing, leaving it unresolved. Warner Bros., however, replaced it with sunlight, literally. They grabbed unused helicopter shots from The Shining and built a happy ending that feels like it came from another movie. You can feel the executives' desperation. They were trying to turn a bleak meditation on humanity into a feel-good sci-fi adventure. And yet, even with all those changes, the movie bombed anyway. When Blade Runner hit theaters, audiences didn't even know what to make of it. Critics called it all style, no substance. The box office barely broke even. Warner Bros. Moved on, Ridley Scott was furious, and Blade Runner was left for dead. But the thing about Blade Runner is it wouldn't stay buried. Throughout the late 1980s, film students and sci-fi obsessives started rediscovering it. VHS tapes circulated, midnight screenings popped up. The movie's design, those neon skylines, the steam, the decay, became its own visual language. It was influencing music videos, architecture, fashion, and then came the accident. In 1990, a 70mm work print of Blade Runner, an unfinished cut without the studio narration and without the happy ending, was accidentally screened at a theater in Los Angeles. No one realized what they were showing. When the movie ended, the audiences lost their minds. This was a different film, stranger, moodier, quieter, but also alive. For the first time, people saw what Ridley Scott had intended all along. The buzz spread fast. Critics started writing about it. Warner Bros. Realized they might have made a mistake. So in 1992, they allowed Scott to supervise a director's cut. The narration was gone, the ending was restored to its bleak uncertainty, and one image changed everything: the unicorn dream. Because it brought up the idea that maybe Deckard wasn't human at all. Maybe he was a replicant, a machine hunting his own kind. That single image turned Blade Runner from a failed detective movie into one of cinema's great philosophical puzzles. 15 years later, in 2007, Ridley Scott finally got what he always wanted: complete control. Blade Runner: The Final Cut became his definitive version, remastered and restored with no studio interference. It's the version most people see today, the version that inspired any cyberpunk type sci-fi that came after it. But beyond the visuals, the legacy of Blade Runner is really about creative freedom. It's the story of an artist fighting a system that didn't trust him, and the long, strange process of vindication that followed. Because what started as a studio's worst nightmare ended up shaping the next 40 years of science fiction, design, and filmmaking. So the next time you hear someone call Blade Runner slow or boring, remember this: every frame, every drop of rain, every question it asks survived a studio system that tried to erase it. It's not just one of the most influential sci-fi movies ever made, it's proof that sometimes the machines aren't the only ones fighting to be free. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked learning about this, you could check out my video on how Spartacus broke Stanley Kubrick, and subscribe if you want more film history knowledge.